It's always great to have new Polynian to look at. And with the summer approaching so quickly, it's even better to have something that's a bit more summer appropriate. Today we see a new color variant of a Motoroid, in Polynian number 13A, Maguana. I don't really know what the name Maguana tries to imply. Previously she was called Marilyn in Japanese, which of course was supposed to be Marilyn. Though it does have somewhat of a tropical vibe. And along with that beautiful orange exterior, I think it really matches the theme of this figure. Interestingly, inside the panel of the box, it states that the orange color helps it stand out, and also gives it the appearance of a king crab. So yeah, definitely very summer appropriate. I'm pretty excited to open this one up. I really liked Marilyn's design, but it was a bit clunky. I'm really hoping that this one fixes some of the engineering issues from the previous model, but it is a pretty heavy box, so I can only imagine it's going to have some similar flaws. Either way, let's open this thing up and see what it has to offer. Now, of course, as usual, this comes with a little pamphlet telling you about the care of the joints and the figure itself, but then, the figure, in its blister. My goodness, I cannot overstate how nice this orange is in person. Looking at it right now really makes me think that I've upped the saturation on the way I'm looking at life, but that's not the case. This thing is gorgeous. Let's get her out of there. Uh-oh. Now the back blister has some more accessories we'll talk about in a minute, but the actual figure, she was inside what was like a plastic bag, but I guess it just took more to cover her so she would be safely in there. But my gosh, look at this thing. I am not joking right now. This is one of the cleanest looking Polynian I've seen in a while. With those big honking submarine parts, Maguana here stands at almost 6.5 inches, just underneath it, though her snorkel does push her past that half mark. Now out of the packaging, she is in her more submarine type mode, but I'll say that this looks so clean. Specifically inside the legs here, I want to say the sculpting looks better than ever. They're so deep cut and defined well. Previously with the original Marilyn, I kind of wanted to panel line them because they looked so poorly done, but this one, there's no problems here whatsoever. This sculpting looks great. And there's not too much that I can find as far as production errors go, though that will change probably as I do the review. Still, I'm really impressed here. The swimsuit is another thing in general that just looks really clean. It's almost like a matted plastic. It looks really nice in person, and I don't know, something about it just looks way better than usual. All of the sculpting is so deep cut and well done that I'm really falling in love here. The robo booty is killer too. It almost seems like they really went in and, pardon my French, put a deep sort of wedge in her butt. No, seriously though, you can see there's like a cut there in the plastic. It just makes the butt that much more pronounced. She might have one of the best robo booties yet. So, okay, she looks great, but how does she pose? That's the important thing. With all these heavy parts, she can be a bit clunky, so the previous one was pretty problematic, though right now, nothing has fallen apart just yet. Now this is a Polynian, so like the many others, it is on the Polynian ball peg joints, which is just a hinge joint with 2 pegs on either side. Her head can go up and down, left and right, and of course it can roll because of the freedom of it being able to swivel on either side of the joint. You may notice that she does have these goggles. They have the ability to swivel around because they're just a simple peg joint there. In the notes, it actually says that this snorkel-looking device is actually a radar of sorts, so that's kind of cool. Because why would a robot need a snorkel? Now her arms at the shoulders can go up and down, and they can go swiveled at either side of the joint, which works really well. And then the elbow has the same articulation as usual, going up and down, though it is a bit limited thanks to the fact that that massive fin is on the back, though it seems to do what it needs to. Now, this isn't really a hand, so this motor can spin, but it can also be swapped out. We'll show you that later. So far though, the arms seem to be doing rather well. But what about that waist? She does have a ball peg joint here in the center, which allows her torso to go up and down, and it can swivel as well. And it's really not too limited, surprisingly. In the back, that swimsuit is pretty empty, so she gets a nice arch back. Look at that butt again, jeez. Now my biggest fear are the legs, because these things are hefty. So let's go ahead and try to move them as intended. So then at the hips, These pegs will allow for the legs to go in and out and swivel as they need to, which can get you all sorts of rotations. Very good stuff. But the heavy part is down here, which the knee will allow to go backwards rather far, surprisingly, and forwards to the point where that will start to clip the leg. Still pretty good, and I will say, connected rather well. I'm actually really happy right now with the posability here. The toe has the ability to go down and up. It's very simple. It can either be like a jet, or it can be sort of a little bit of a heeled boot. Still, this hasn't fallen apart at all, which is incredibly good. I don't know how the hell they pulled it off, but this thing's staying together really well. Congratulations, Daibadi, because I am impressed with this new figure. And thank you. Now then, like any other Polynian in the series, Maguana really shines with some of her accessories, because she does come with a decent bit. One of these accessories would be the submarine ponytail. Yeah, this thing's pretty cute. If you look on the top, you can see the sort of fins like there would be at the top of a submarine. And I don't know, it's just a cute way of giving her hair, I guess? Like the rest of the girls, you can just turn her around and plug that right into this hole with another Polynian peg joint. I'm not gonna go too hard plugging this thing in because, you know, they're fragile, but this goes up and down, and it can swivel all around as well, so you can get angles out of it that normally wouldn't allow you to see it from the front. Nice feature. I should also mention that her goggles have multi-functions. Right now, they're seated in the top peg hole on her head, which allows them to reside as if she's just wearing them casually above her eyes. Though, if you plug them into the second hole, it'll look more like she's wearing them. But unfortunately, the eye line is just a little wrong. It's hard to show you, but at an angle, yes, it does look like she's wearing them, though head on, they are kind of just a little too high still. The effort's appreciated. If you angle her the right way, it does seem to look like she's wearing them, but it is just a bit clunky. And though she is a Motoroid, she does come with a couple faceplates for expressions. If you look in the eyes of this faceplate, you'll see that the yellow is actually accented with those little white circles. I only mention this because of the next faceplate, which of course we get to by popping off her hair. And look at that, the face came with it. Like I said, I made that mention because this one is very similar. The original has these circles inside the eyes. This one does not. It's just the simple eye shape, but with a solid yellow rather than having those little loops in there. It's fine. I don't know if I'll really use one over the other, but it's nice to have it included, I guess? Okay, this one I really like. It's similar to the first one in the fact that it has those white loops inside the eye, but they're a bit narrower. And if you can see, there's just the slightest bit of pink blush just beneath those eyes in the corners. I don't know why, I just think this is so adorable. The fourth and final faceplate is just a pair of flat black lines. These could be her with her eyes closed, either sleeping or relaxing or a number of other things. I enjoy it. It's cute and it gives her a little bit more personality, so I'm down. Now these big old tanks on her arm have a multifunction here where you can take off this little jet and then attach the claw. I like this. This is a nice way to open her up a little bit more and make her appear a bit larger, though it's completely optional. These look cool and they spin around, and even in the lore notes it says that these can spin and create like little whirlpools essentially. So it's almost like they're drills in a way. Pretty cool. I would assume that these hydro blaster cannon things could do the same. And I've got to mention again, all this time handling her, she still has not fallen apart, which is more than I can say about a lot of the other Polynians, to be honest, not even heavy ones like this. And additionally, meant for these chunky legs of hers, you can attach these little pieces that look sort of like small boats, though they have little cannons on them, and they're listed as machine guns in the actual lore notes, so, you know, every one of these has a weaponized form. These can also be attached up here onto the arms, which I think looks just as cool, really. You can do it like that, or turn it around, and now she has a cannon and a claw, which is pretty menacing, to be honest. I really like this a lot. But all these clunky tanks do make her a bit heavy, so let's go ahead and thin her out a bit. In exchange for all of the submarine-themed parts, they can be swapped out for normal forearms and legs. So this absolute unit can be transformed into a cuter, smaller, regular girl in a swimsuit. And I've got to say, I'm a huge fan of this form. Obviously, we're all too familiar with the Polynian body style, but that red swimsuit, that orange hair, the Motoroid eyes, this works so well. But now that she has proper hands, let's go over the ones that come with this figure. As you can see here, she comes with a pair of open hands, which look rather nice. On the right side, you can see that she comes with a pair of fists, which have her thumb rested at the top of her index finger. And on the left side, she comes with the all too familiar locked wrist accessory fists, which are great for holding accessories. Though she doesn't come with any other hands, nor does she come with any accessories for her to actually hold. But there's one final piece of accessory that she has. This can be done with either form, so you can just remove her head to start this one off. Then you just take this to drop over her shoulders, which looks to be some sort of breathing apparatus. Now you'll just want to take this set of tanks, which do have some posability here, and attach it to her back in one of the peg joints here. As you can see, there's a little eyelet that's open there, which you can actually mount these tubes from the breathing apparatus to lock into. It's not the most secure connection, but it will work, and it'll keep it in place for the most part, because if not, it'll just kind of roll all over the place. With everything reattached, there's not too much obstruction. The tail can get in the way a little bit, but it is in the exchange for the fact that she'll now be wearing this cute scuba set, which you can then further attach her goggles, and she'll just be ready for a good old summer swim. The final accessory is the stand, which is going to be much different from the usual hexagonal base. This is the actual Polynian stand with the arm, which just plugs right here and has 3 joints, which are all posable as a hinge and can really help to hold up a heavy figure like Marilyn or Maguana, or even the Reimu figure as well. Though these work great with regular Polynians too. And that stand can be plugged either at her butt, the back, or you could even unplug her ponytail and plug into the back of her head. They're all options. I've always rather liked the inclusion of these stands because on their own, they're like $10 and they're kind of hard to find. And it's a pretty solid stand. They're pretty useful for not just Polynian. It's basically a Figma stand, but with a larger base, which can be pretty nice, though they do take up a bit of room on a shelf. So what's left for me to say about Maguana? Well, I really like her. I didn't think that they would be able to revive Marilyn in such a great way, but they did. I prefer this color scheme far more than the basic blue one that we received originally. I guess I'm just a fan of warmer colors, but personally I just think the orange and red works so much nicer. It's much more attention grabbing. The blue one just seems a bit tackier, but I can't not mention the quality control here. I don't see any real painting errors on this thing whatsoever. Sure, there's not a ton of painting, but ultimately, the painting and the sculpting are phenomenal. This thing looks so nice. Again, the panel lines are deep cut, the ridges and bumps and everything here are so well done. And not just the painting, but the sculpting is so well done. The little additional bumps and ridges on each piece all work really well without having any extra molding left over. The joints were perfectly tight. So much so that it was hard to swap her legs for the other ones that she came with. I actually wound up using shamrocks because it was a little easier, and maybe that's why this figure doesn't fall apart. They went full force in making sure that it had thicker pegs and very tight joints. And I can't be mad at that because that made this thing function so much better than the original. Given the fact that this thing has such better quality control, amazing painting, great sculpting, overall just a cute design that I liked, and the fact that I liked this version more than the original, I can't give 13A Polynian Maguana any less than a 10 out of 10. I am so happy with this figure. I want to thank Daibadi for really getting their stuff together. This gives me hope for Betty coming up soon, because if she ain't right, that is going to hurt my heart so much. Whatever you did with this, keep doing it, because this was a solid addition. Anybody who was originally sleeping on getting Marilyn, get Maguana. She's awesome. But what do you guys think? Am I crazy? Did I give this too high of a review? Let me know. Did you buy her? Do you plan on buying her? Did my review give you any further insight into doing so? I'll mention here that I have a Hobby Link Japan link, which will allow you to click that and then order figures, get me a commission of some of that money, and you pay no extra. It really helps the channel. What also helps the channel is commenting and liking this video, and maybe even share it to a friend if they collect. Join the Discord as well to hang out and talk about figures and all kinds of other random assorted things. I'm going to link something on screen for you to check out, and make sure you do because that's another way you can help me out. But with all that done, thank you so much for watching, have an amazing day, and keep on collecting.